Some important developments, viewers. Vantara, an animal research, rehabilitation, rescue center, has been under the center of some controversy despite the yeoman service that they are doing for living beings that cannot actually express their pain and their suffering. The Supreme Court appointed SIT has given a clean chit to the Vantara Zoological Rescue and Rehabilitation Center. A bench of Justices Pankaj, Mithal and Justice P.B. Varale took the SIT report on record, noting that authorities are satisfied with Vantara's compliance and regulatory measures when it comes to the acquisition of animals, their treatment, care, and also their upkeep. The court observed that Vantara is in strict compliance with all laws. CNN News 18 has accessed the Supreme Court order and also the 45-page report that was submitted, along with all the complaints that have been listed in this 45-page order by the court. Key highlights: no credible, tangible or prosecutable evidence has been produced. There is limited material that's been submitted and it does not disclose any offense. At some places, the complaints have also been called imaginative. The complaints are therefore devoid of merit. No irregular cash or crypto flows have been brought out. No engagement with smugglers or unlicensed intermediaries has been found. The SIT concludes that the allegations made are baseless. Acquisitions are neither vitiated nor tainted by fraud. No illegal acquisition of animals via any foreign donor zoo. Acquisition of animals has been conducted with complete regulatory compliance. More than 40,000 animals have been rescued, rehabilitated and cared for, and this is across species, viewers. It takes a great amount of compassion, karuna, to be able to try and undertake an exercise like this. It is purely not for profit. It is for the betterment of planet Earth, because they are also working on extensive research on how to save endangered species or even bring them back from extinction. There is huge amount of work that is being done with more than 150 wildlife reserves and sanctuaries across Bharat and also the globe and the world over, to try and rescue, rehabilitate ill and old and also, more importantly, ill-treated animals. Sohail Seth is with us. Sohail ji, namaste. There has been a lot of noise that's been made around Vantara. I have personally been there. You have to see it to believe it. But for those naysayers who on hearsay, on articles, who are compelled to try and defame an effort like this, your thoughts on the court's observations and the SIT's findings?
Anand, I've been to Vantara on the 2nd of March last year, 2024. It is something that India should be proud of. The conservation is globally the finest. But what do we do in our country? Anyone who does good work will be flooded by stupid PILs. Now tell me, you have Justice Chelmeshwar, who was the head of the SIT, who in the world of these so-called left liberals and leftists is seen as an anti-Modi judge. He's the chair of the SIT. You have a gentleman called Hemant Nagarkar, who was the police commissioner, appointed by who? The Mahayuti, Uddhav Thackeray. So no one can say these were Modi lovers or Modi appointees. These are people who were actually and are actually anti-Modi. So the first thing we establish is that this committee is so left that you can't imagine. And if this committee has found Vantara to be totally above board, which it is, has analyzed every facet, as you have rightly mentioned in your opening remarks, whether it is the procurement, it is the rehabilitation, it's the resuscitation, it is the looking after of animals, they have not found one thing wrong. I salute the Supreme Court. But what tragically saddens me is that in our country, we have these people with agendas who constantly want to belittle good work that is being done. I have seen Anand Ambani as a child. I have seen his enduring love for the voiceless, for the helpless, for animals. You know, it takes a lot of courage, Anand, and it's not about the money. It takes a lot of courage to devote your life to a passion that will not be seen in a profit and loss statement. It takes a lot of courage, it takes a lot of passion to do things that you believe are for the betterment of people who can't even thank you, because these are voiceless animals. You have set a world standard in conservation. And then you have these scoundrels, whether it be in South Africa, which, by the way, they're absolute rascals. South Africa has now these jokers who've written vicious articles. And look at the decency of an Anand or a Mukesh or a Neeta. Not one of them responded to these scurrilous allegations. They're going to be in suits, silly. But remember one thing, Anand, we are the land of Mahatma Gandhi, and the truth will always prevail. Today, it is not a judgment in favor of Vantara. It's a judgment in favor of compassion. It's a judgment in favor of doing the right thing. It's a judgment in favor of people who will do the right thing without taking the credit. You've had Prime Minister Modi visit Vantara. I have visited Vantara, but I'm no one. You had global business leaders visit Vantara. You had conservation experts. By the way, there's an anecdote which I must share with you. There's a chap called Alok Gupta, who's an environment activist lawyer. One day, he was telling me, what about Vantara, blah, blah. I said, why don't you go there? He went there and he came back and told me and told everyone who cared to listen that this is a global example of compassionate excellence. This is what Vantara is.
True. And
in our country, we have this nasty habit of finding fault with anything anyone does, which is for the betterment of the world. Today, we should be proud of Vantara. We as Indians should be proud that we have been able to create a rehabilitation and a center for the voiceless. But what do? We have planted PILs, we have agendas that are being pursued, and we have criminal mentality as far as conservation and conservation excellence is concerned. Today, the Supreme Court has actually helped each one of those 40,000 inhabitants of Vantara. So today, the Supreme Court has actually stood for the voiceless.
And thing is, the fact is that this is kept so private and it is kept inside because the intent is not to commercialize it. But the flip side of that has been people from outside don't know what's happening there, and they cannot believe that something like this can happen in Bharat with no ulterior motive, but with only an altruistic intent. Now that is perhaps
the problem.
And they, because they all. They're seeing the cats, they're seeing the animals. They've not seen how they came from these hunting lodges of South Africa. I've seen that emaciated lion and the image that its skeletons were all coming out, and it had been starved for more than 25-30 days and it could barely walk. And look at the animal now, how it's been rehabilitated. That story escapes common imagination.
So my grandmother used to say, "Neki kar kuein mein dal." But today, when you do neki and you do good and you don't talk about it, it is these criminally minded, sectarianly divided, petty minds that then go to the Supreme Courts of the world to file complaints. A, B. Let me ask you one question.
Right.
Today, we have Vantara, which is actually helping zoos. It is helping conservation experts. There are many conservation experts who've been there. And what do? You try and belittle, you try and demean, you try and find fault. This is something we should be proud of.
Yes.
I mean, that is the problem with the Ambanis. When they do good, they don't want to talk about it, and at times it works against them. Now, can you imagine if the Ambanis had actually decided, we're going to brag about it, we're going to get people in, but that's not them. And that shouldn't be them. Because they are following a dharam where you do your work and you keep quiet. Today, every animal, every one of those 40,000 inhabitants is actually silently thanking them. But you know what? You will still have some scoundrels and some jokers who will go to courts of law and try to befuddle, belittle, and
the courts
besmirch the
have,
process.
let's hope the courts have set the matters to rest with this SIT, and also the observations by the Honorable Court saying that
Absolutely.
all these are, imaginative, unfounded, and they don't even merit further investigation. Forget even criminal jurisprudence, under criminal jurisprudence, any penalty or punishment, because they don't even merit further investigation. So that's
That is
the
my
word.
problem with the judgment.
That's the word.
My
that's come.
problem with the judgment is they should have actually penalized those Johnnies who file these fabricated, factitious petitions.
Well,
but that's for another debate.
Yes. So, LG, thank you very much. Just on the way out, and as we move on, viewers, just think 40,000 animals across various species are being cared for. By who? By people who are not only cared for, also their families are cared for. Their children have got free schooling there. The farmers in that entire region are developing produce and also for Vantara. Those families are also being cared for, and their children are also getting all these elephants. There are 200 elephants, each has about 2 mahouts. Their families, their children, all of them are being taken care of. So there is a huge level of paying it forward and helping society happening, not just with the animals, but also with humanity. So there's a big story there with respect to Vantara, and I've seen it, and that's why I think empathize with not just those who are doing this, but also agree with the courts and their observations. So thank you, Justice Chelameshwar and his team, the SIT.